Today on Racing Legends podcast, I have my good friend Forrest Boyce back with me again to talk about the Maryland Million and just to give me a hard time like she always does. Welcome back, Forrest.
Thanks for having me, Julian.
Um, so look, the Maryland Million was born in 1986. Famous broadcaster Jim McKay, who was a Maryland horseman, he kind of modeled it after the Breeders' Cup, and we were the first state to kind of have our own little mini Breeders' Cup in Maryland. It's been a great event. I mean, I think besides Preakness weekend, it's like the biggest weekend in Maryland racing. But before we get to the Maryland Million, as a rider, what is your mindset this time of year? Summer's over, where you have all these different tracks opening up. Lots of turf racing, which can create opportunities. But things are kind of settling down. The weather's beginning to change. What generally is your mindset as a rider when you're coming into fall?
Yeah, it's just try to keep as much going as you can. Yeah, the turf horses start going south or they get put away. And so, yeah, we really try to start focusing on dirt business at this time of year.
I mean, does it bother you when the weather changes and it's when you get up in the morning, it's kind of cool and it's not warm anymore? Does that dampen your spirit at all?
A little bit because it means the grass is coming to an end and we all have more opportunity when the grass is running.
Yeah. How about the changes in the jocks room? Like, so what happens in the wintertime is you may have the Delaware riders come back. You may have one or two, like I guess like Fergal Lynch may go down south, or maybe a couple others. And then you may have some random folks from up north whose tracks have closed. Does the chemistry in a jocks room change much as the seasons change?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a little bit different. I always really enjoy when winter rolls around because Carol, she comes down from Delaware and she's another very good rider, and it's nice having her around.
Carol
So,
Cedino. And
yes.
do you guys have your own jocks room at Laurel, the females, or do you
Yes,
guys?
yes. The women are separate from the men, but they're like certain common areas, like the clerk of scales office and places like that.
Right. And at Pimlico, you guys are all together, right? Or you guys have that closet down for the women,
Yeah.
right?
No, it's separate at Pimlico as well, but like Laurel, there's common areas, like the
Right.
where you check your weight and the kitchen and places like that.
Right. Well, how about the track itself? So we're back at Laurel. We had a Pimlico fall meet, which we hadn't had in many years. Did you enjoy that? And Laurel, how's the track been playing? What does it feel like to be back home at Laurel?
It's good to be back. The track, it's kind of different every time you step out on it here lately, so you just really have to be paying attention.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, the Pimlico meet was great. I thought that was a really good idea that they did that. It gave the turf a little break at Laurel between that and Timonium. And with that, you'd think you should be able to make it almost to December like we used to with turf racing, or at least one would hope, provided we don't get bad weather between now and then.
Yeah, it's so much easier for the racing secretary.
Yeah.
Our buddy Julian and the in the office there. It's so much easier when you can card these turf races. And sometimes they go, as you said, like through Thanksgiving into December. So
Oh yeah, like the turf racing, it makes such a big deal. And like I feel like it's really hard for someone like her because we race only 3 days a week all summer, and then we lose grass, and she's got to make, 4 days a week on just dirt horses, which, that can be really tricky.
yeah, it's always great for those trainers who have lots of dirt horses that don't win on turf, like John Robb and Claudio. There are some, and Damon for years, had many more dirt horses than turf horses. Those guys actually love it because then all of a sudden they're getting 6, 7 horse fields and there's no turf races
Oh
anymore.
yeah. The horsemen love it, which and I don't blame them. Like if I were in their shoes, I would definitely love it as well. But the bigger fields, you have a better product as far as gambling. It's more money for everyone. The more money the track makes, the more money it goes to the purses. I don't know.
Yeah, more
It's a
jockeys,
double-edged sword.
more jockeys that are riding, more agents that have jockeys that
Yeah.
are, I mean, it's just more money around. Well, let's go to Maryland Million Day. How would you compare Maryland Million Weekend to Preakness Weekend? As an owner, Preakness weekend is lunacy, and I like the pageantry and it's cool memories. Maryland Million was more my speed, more for the Maryland horse person than Preakness. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's like a casual Friday at work.
Yeah,
Right? Like
right.
it's great. Because you have good horses and you have some pageantry, but it's a lot more tame.
Yeah. Now I know you, and Preakness weekend, you seem a little bit stressed. Like it's like a lot going on. You may have friends coming to town, and do you have the same type of stresses on Maryland Million Week? I mean, do you have people to entertain and those kind of thoughts, or is it pretty much just a regular race week, except for the fact there's quite a few stakes on Saturday.
Yeah, I think stressed is a strong word. I'm not really someone that really gets all that stressed. I'm pretty laid back, as you
Yeah.
can
Oh, really? I
you
didn't know
can
that.
tell.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, quite a few people that like to go to Maryland Million because it's it's almost like Black Eyed Susan Day, you know. It's a lot of fun. I think people really enjoy the fact that it's a little bit more laid back than Preakness, and you still have the same kind of energy at the racetrack, which is good.
Yeah. Do you like do you get excited this week? Do you like the week before is it any different than a regular week? Are there excitement? Is there excitement in the air?
And I hate to say this, I don't really get excited over things like this. And I think that, maybe that it has served me well over the years. Um, I it's all the same, whether you're riding a nickel claim or the $100,000 race. In my eyes, it's all the same. It doesn't matter unless you win it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I want to ask you about your favorite Maryland Million moment, and I'll tell you mine so you get a chance to think about that. But um, mine was I had a crooked-legged horse named Swear Allegiance, and back in the old days, it was like a poker game to claim these horses for a certain level that would be eligible for the starter handicap on Maryland Million Day, and it was a tricky game because you couldn't have your best horses in that race because if you did, they had to drop to a certain level to be eligible. I think it was either 16,000 most years or 12,000 some years. So you try to claim a horse and improve them or whatever. I claimed a horse from Boniface, and Damon did wonders with her. She had the heart of a lion. And we won the Maryland Million. Travis Dunkelberg her up, unbelievable ride, and it was one of the greatest moments of my life. I mean, other than my
Hmm.
my wedding day, possibly my son winning in the state tournament in soccer, and also of course meeting you. Um, one of the greatest moments of my life. It's just unbelievable the day that I won that race. It was a great crowd, beautiful day. And I just felt like I was on top of the world that day. What about you? What was your favorite Maryland Million moment?
Oh, it's like choosing which is your favorite child. I've had lots of good Marilyn Million
It's a
moments.
tough life. I
Yeah,
choose.
which I'm very fortunate that I can say that. Yeah, geez, I'm very grateful that I can say that. I say probably the top two would be A Too Fast to Catch.
Mhm.
He was such an incredible horse, and getting to ride him in the classic and winning that a few times, that was a really big deal. I guess the wildest one would probably have been when I beat Ben's cat on that horse of Robin Graham. I believe his name was Jack Strait
Yeah,
or Jackson the Deck. Jackson the Deck, I think was his
that's
name.
right. That's right. Okay.
Right? Wasn't that his name? I believe that was his name. And Ben's cat was this legend,
Right.
and that was really cool beating him on a long shot.
Is that bittersweet at all? Because
So
Ben's cat
it
was.
is bittersweet because like
Yeah.
you love Ben's cat, like you want him to keep the throne, and he did. Like he was what a horse. But it's still cool if you can beat a horse like that on a long shot.
It's funny because you remind me of twice on Belmont Stakes Day. Edgar has upset a Triple Crown possibility with a long shot. I can't think of the names right now, but he did it twice. And both after both races, Donna Barton or whoever throws a microphone on his in front of him, and he has to try to act like he's not happy because the whole world's turning in to see a Triple Crown, and there goes Edgar Prado winning the race. As a rider, your job is to beat that horse and win for your owners. And we're all sentimental, but we need to make some money too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what makes this game fun, like you don't know what's going to happen until you load them in the gate.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to win a race. And even when you're the best horse in a race, a lot has to go right for you to win.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, when you think about Maryland Million, I'm not sure if we do this anymore, but through the year, do you and your agent, Shug, Jay Burtis, do you guys think about Maryland breds through the year? Like when you have a special horse break its maiden, and it's Maryland bred, or even better, Maryland Million nominated, which is a different thing. Do you guys take that into consideration these days, or nowadays do you wait more towards Maryland Million time of year to start even worrying about which horses you're going to be riding?
Yeah, we tend, because it seems like most riders stick with, we all try to stick with our good horses. And so if you have a really good one for a weekend like this, you've probably been riding it most of the year. So it's kind of hard to jump on horses late. But yeah, I mean, about a month to 2 months ago, he started really focusing on what horses were eligible. And, I think they have to get 6 or 7 in a race to shut it out. So it's just Maryland Million, or Maryland sired or whatever.
Exactly.
So
yeah. Just for the listeners who may not quite understand what Forrest just expressed, it used to be to beat the race on this day, you had to be Maryland Million nominated when the horse was bred at birth, or soon after, within the first year or two, I believe.
But it has to be sired by a Maryland sire, correct?
Yeah, exactly. But then what happened, as time went by, as the number of foals born went down, they had to kind of open it up. And so now what they do is, if there's only 6 or 7, and I think that each race might be a little bit different, but 6 or 7 Maryland Million nominated horses, they will open it up to just Maryland breds, which increases the pool. So that's always a little bit confusing. Also,
yeah.
Do you have more decisions like that to make a Maryland Million Day than normal? You tend to have more races where you have 2 or 3 good horses that you have to choose from during this weekend, or is it kind of the same as a normal race day?
Oh, I think this weekend's even less so than normal race days. Unless maybe if the race opens up, but they often, trainers often try to shut out the races. So they have the short, we were discussing earlier, they'd rather have the shorter field, rightfully so. And, so yeah, you won't find that you have a lot of horses to choose from because they tend to be shorter fields. And like I said, if it is a good horse, that rider's probably been riding it most of the year.
Yeah. Well, one factor that we do have to consider during Maryland Million is lots of stakes races where you have apprentice riders riding without the bug. So typically, as we know, when you're an apprentice, you get a weight break, which is a way to gain entry into a very difficult profession. And right now, we have several really good bug riders. In particular, Jerian Barbosa and William Humphreys come to mind. But it looks like Rodriguez is going to be a really good rider as well. Unfortunately, I believe he's might have gotten hurt the other day. But but anyway, what happens when you have a bug rider that all of a sudden has to carry the full weight? He's not getting a weight break anymore. Is that a factor for a bug? I mean, you were a very hot bug rider. Is that a factor for a bug rider to all of a sudden be carrying the same weight as the journeyman ride with?
It shouldn't be if you're good.
Right.
Right? Yeah. I mean, when I had the bug, I won stakes. If you're a good rider, it'll translate. And if not, you might get found out a little bit when you're carrying the extra weight.
Right. So it could be a confidence thing, though. You have to believe it's not about the weight. You're a great rider, And when you get on these horses, if you're carrying 126 like everybody else, that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So in terms of betting, do you think it's anything for the bettors to worry about? And like, for example, if like Humphrey seems to be a really good turf rider, and I guess he's from Europe, I think the UK. If you like a rider who's all of a sudden not getting a weight break, do you think it's anything to consider for the better?
I don't think it should be a problem at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, if you truly think they're a good rider, that shouldn't affect your whether or not you're betting on them.
Yeah, I agree with that. What about the day of the race? Is there anything different about Maryland Million Day in terms of preparation? Do you still gallop horses that morning? Do you do the same thing you would do on a regular Saturday on Maryland Million Day?
Yeah, almost all days are the same, really. Yeah, if there's horses to work, the only difference is they might close the track a little bit earlier because post time's earlier. Um, but yeah, all days it's just another day.
Just another day. Okay. So,
Like yeah, there's more money and all of that, but like I said, you can't worry about that unless you're winning until you've won it.
so as a rider, when if it's the Maryland Million Classic, you get on the horse, put the horse in the gate, and you just react like you'd react to any race, like it was a $5,000 claimer.
Absolutely. Like, why would there's no point in like I recently rode a big stake in New York and some of the riders I never really paid attention before, but some of them were really nervous. And I was like, what's wrong with these guys? And then it dawned on me, I was like, oh, this is a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup. And I was like, I just couldn't understand why they were all so nervous. And, if you go out there nervous, you're going to affect your horse's race. And not all of them, they were just like one or two that I noticed that about. And so no point in worrying about that sort of thing. Like I said, like I often wouldn't even know what the purse is on most races because you should treat them all the same. Like you load in the gate and there's the wire you have to cross. So
how,
it
how did
isn't
you pick
that
up?
different.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. How did you pick up that they were nervous? What did you see?
Well, when I was talking to them, they were shaking and stuff
Yeah. Well, that would
and
be.
trembling. I'm like, I was just like, what is wrong with this guy? Is he on something? And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh no, he's just nervous.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when you think about those win and end circumstances, when you have a nice horse, let's say you have a horse that's that can probably win an allowance race or a maiden special weight. Do you like when they go for it in the Maryland Million, or would you rather them take the easy money like 7 or 8 days before, put them in the allowance race or put them in the maiden race instead of waiting for Maryland Million Day or the win or end? You're going for a Breeders' Cup race instead of maybe a Grade 3 race that you can actually be a favorite in.
I don't always believe you need to be the favorite,
Mhm.
because like we were just saying earlier, it's hard to win even if you're a favorite. I think if you really like your horse, you should do what's right by the horse and bring him along. Or at
Right.
least that was the way I was raised with, riding for the people I rode for. Um, because if they're good, they'll find those good horses
Exactly.
soon enough, and you might as well get experience under their belts about getting their heads kicked in because you get a horse's head kicked in too many times, the liable to say enough's enough. So the guys I always rode for, like they always, kind of duck and dove the big ones until they had to see them.
Exactly. I don't know the experience of having a horse with his head kicked in. Not me. My horses always win. So, so
Yeah, you and Damon did a good job of placing your horses.
yeah, nice try, Forrest. I know you're laughing at us
No,
saying
I
that.
won some races for you.
You won a lot of races for me. I always
I
tell you that.
know.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, look, thanks for taking this time. I know you have a busy morning, especially, this is probably a tough week, but it's always great talking to you and always delightful to talk to. And, obviously, you're riding great. Everyone out there listening, Forrest Boyce is a great rider on the dirt as well, not just turf. But I certainly wish you luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We'll see you out there.
Yeah. We'll see you soon, Forrest. Thanks again.